like free people or free thinkers. This is why you see so much effort also coming from owners of the Roman Curia misrepresenting the word sovereignty. Every time you hear them talk about it, it's always a negative. That's why, because all their bonds are based in stealing your divine sovereignty, which is birthright. All the U.S. Treasury bonds are based in the theft of your birthright. And birthright and sovereignty are harmonic. Also, unalienable rights are harmonic. Privileges don't belong on that table. That's why this information upsets people who have been using people who are narcissistic, who are users, don't like people to get this information because they also can't use you anymore. Because a lot of people that pretend to like you only around you before they can get out of you. And you'll notice that most of the trolls who are trolling and condemning this information are people who are usually trying to get your finance but actually produce nothing for the masses at all. Almost everything they do is from a narcissistic perspective, is taking from people, whether it's donations, finance, support, tithe, taxes, but give you absolutely nothing. And when you get wise to them in their narcissistic, selfish, two-faced ways, they get angry at you because they can't use you. You got to look at all of these dynamics that you're dealing with. And those things are being made manifest by the day, particularly now because pressures are being placed on all institutions set up by the dark priesthood. They're collapsing, and it's exposing everybody and their roles. Wherever we are along the path, the wool is being pulled off. This is why I was talking about last year and the year before, all masks are off. What I was talking about then is for you to look at what's going on now. And keep in mind, person and personality means mask.
Okay, here's a comment question from Shine Bay 9. Is it safe to conclude that all information dispensed on MSM, mainstream media, and throughout social media algorithms are diversions to the truth splash light that is occurring?
That's why you see all of so much of what you call censoring, so much of blocking people's efforts for transferring information, interference, stealing of people's compensations on their different websites, etc. That's why you see it. That's the workings of the dark priesthood. Absolutely. Who you thought were your so-called public servants. No, they are parasites. And then, of course, those among your own who've been around you, who you thought was talking good, our people stuff, you're starting to discover that many of them are parasites too, and always have been. However, a lot of them get upset because as you're exposing the Roman systems and their agencies and agents, etc., it exposes those people who have been handled by them that have been comfortably hanging around you. You'll see that they actually produce very little to nothing, but they're good at sucking finance and energy from others.
Oh, well, she just gave a correction. She said she wrote it wrong. He does not oppose. Sorry. So he's not interested apparently in it for himself, but he does not oppose. So again, you just do it. You do it.
Oppose is what it is. It speaks for itself.
Well, she said he does, because she said he opposes, but I guess she wrote it wrong. But then she's correcting.
In other words, if something is directed towards that which is right, that which is proper, that which is good, and someone opposes it, it's just what it is.
But he doesn't.
Always designate things for what they absolutely are.
Yeah.
We got to start looking at things for what they are, not necessarily get angry, but don't qualify wrong or how do you say? See, some people in their hearts are people who love people being in servitude. But that's the truth.
Grand Sheik, I'm correcting it. She corrected herself. He does not oppose her nationalizing. He just doesn't have any interest in it for himself. So
and that's fine.
Right.
Again, in other words, like this. This is what I suggest to you. Read the Christian Black Codes of 1724. That's available to you even on the internet. And start reading it and then looking at some of your questions that you've asked, and then look at some of the questions that you haven't asked, then present that to him, and then have your discussion all over again and see where you stand. Because if you think for 1 minute that the hybrids aren't paying attention to our activities and your thoughts, I think you should think again. Because they certainly are, because they live off of you. And while he's being silent, they're still living off of him. You know, like people say they don't want to rock the boat. The boat's rocked.
A couple questions I'm going to get in. This is from Bridge REH. Do Moors need to have wills?
A trust is in the nature of a will. But it should be private, and in your trust, yes, you should have wills. Yes.
In the trust.
But the trust in its nature is a will. So look at the will and trust together.
Here's another question. Can, as Diamonds, Pearls, 07, can a single mother put her children in or under a trust to have legal ownership and keep them out of the system?
Conditions of the mother's, condition of the child. Can't state it enough.
She says to keep them out of the system, and put them literally, name them in the trust. Condition of the
mother is condition of the child. Can't emphasize it enough.
So is that yes?
You see the deal with what I'm saying. This is what I prefer to do. A lot of times when I'm answering questions, I try to direct people to established law and established facts, so that they don't assume that it's just merely my opinion. And I direct you to do a little bit of research so you recognize majorly that most of our problems and your problems have been created by and originating from people you have falsely trusted and naively trusted. Those people are, in fact, preachers and politicians who are in bed together, always had been, and they are the constructors of the political operations across the world and have been the originators of most of the political, economic, war, and biological warfare, sterilization program, and virus programs that have suffered and have been pushed upon humanity. These people who you have never suspected, standing behind the pulpits and the rostrums of the politicians, they are partners. And that's not opinion. Do a little research, and as you find it out, you start doing what? If your right arm offends you, cut it off. It's uncomfortable, but that's the reality. Because they have been the major ones behind the minutiae maxima, stealing the people's status, period. I think people also, you should look up status in the law book and read it absolute, and then read estate and read it absolute, and put it together, write it down and read it every day. It will give you good guidance. It will answer a lot of questions that people have, and answer a lot of questions that people should have asked and never thought to ask.
Okay, here's a question that's still the same thing from Goddess One. I am nationalizing now. My husband is not. Now, does that mean marriage license is null and void?
See, it's not that the marriage license was null and void. The marriage license was never honorable in the first place. It had nothing to do with you, had nothing to do with him. I suggest, and as a matter of fact, in the future, I'm going to share with you here at the House of Reawakening Minds the truth of the history and the instrumentality of what a marriage license is, not by my opinion, but by fact. And if any of you all maintain a marriage license after that, keep in mind you did it to yourself voluntarily, although you didn't know what you had. Marriage licenses are not divine. That's number one. Marriage license does not come from the creator or truth of African culture. Marriage license comes from the Pope of Rome for ownership, for human trafficking, and the offspring of sows, cows, designated as women's, who they refer to as heifers, to own their children, to use as they please in life and death. That's the truth of what a marriage license is. And it's a bond instrument sent to seed and company, also with the other stocks and bonds. That's for starters, provable and in fact. Go do some research and you'll get mad at yourself and smack yourself on what you do. If you really love each other, you'll rescind that bullshit, send it back to Rome, and make your own obligation contract between you and him, designated between your families.
Okay. If you have property that's been passed down from generation to generation without an allodial title, with national,
it's state.
With nationalizing, how does one create it?
This is why we've been telling people for years to create a trust in your proper person. It must be sui juris. Keep this in mind. Any properties designated land or inheritance, etc., held not in sui juris status is automatically claimed by the corporate state. Already, it is already assumed jurisdiction. Why do you think over the years we kept telling people, set up a trust in your proper person? It's not the trust. You must be in proper person, though. It's so, it really cannot be emphasized enough. All the time that we've been spending BSing and giving Pastor Pigfoot fiat and trying to buy our way to heaven, we were giving up our estate at the same time. But I guarantee you, most of them in secret got a trust in the state. And most of the matrons of the churches and all these so-called houses of God are matrons and Eastern Stars. And most of them preachers are Masons, got a Moorish fez in secret. And I guarantee 90% of them got a trust. I bet you they ain't going to the grave poor while they're stealing yours in the name of God's, whatever version or flavor of ice cream you're into. And they're doing it without conscience, too.
Let me say. Yeah. Someone says, Alvin Ross says, I get flagged for old posts and tweets.
Yes, you will.
On what I share. I can't post some things this year that I posted last year. I know that because now they're cracking down on that stuff.
No, because it's accelerating, because they're countering the consciousness, because
people are paying attention.
Their systems are collapsing. See, we keep in mind, and I tell this to people over and over again. As people are becoming conscious, and particularly people are nationalizing, not just here in the North, but all around the world, the U.S. Treasury bonds, which are at the backbone of what is known as, quote unquote, reserve currency instrumentalities, are collapsing. This is why they're doing all of this blocking and algorithms. They're trying to save a system that is technically already collapsed. It only continues because the people won't let it go, because they don't know where to go from here. They've been trained in fiat. They've been trained in blind faith. They've been raised in dogmata. Everything that we've been pretty much raised in is a fiat psychology, a fiat system, a fiat trade system. Therefore, it is important for our people to learn things allodial in nature in order to get their head straight on what to do next. And the other deal is, we always encourage people not to follow, but to do research and to let us harmonize together and help each other come out of this dearth and this den that the priesthood has put us in. So when you're looking at these politicians, you're looking at priests. Don't think that you're not, because you are. In their secret orders, all of them are designated priests. They are. Because that's where the order came from the dark, demonic priesthood who have been pretending to love Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, and Muhammad. And in secret, most of them are members of the Curia, kissing the ring of the Pope. Particularly those who have a 501c3. That's one of the first keys you need to look at. And believe the truth. It has nothing to do with Jesus. It has to do with their agreement not to talk civics. And that's the truth. This is why in 1925, as an example, Noble Ali established the Moorish Holy Temple of Science civic organization. They infiltrated it right away and started censoring, and that's what's called the period of the Great Sellout. Then he adopted a religious certificate of registration called the Moorish Science Temple of America to do the corporate business for the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. And that whole paradigm has been misrepresented ever since. That's documented. So don't think that this censorship just began. It didn't just begin.
So I want to, yeah.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Sure you can. Go ahead. I want to say something about next week.
Oh.
Yeah, we're about to close for tonight. We want to thank everyone. Grant Sheik has some things he wants to say, but for those of you that are going to be with us next Friday for our up close and personal, just to let you know, if you paid for your ticket, your name is at the door. We didn't send tickets out, but we do have a list of everyone who paid. So don't fret. Show up. Your name is on the list. We have secured someone who's actually going to videotape for us, and we'll figure out how we can get the pertinent points of the event to those who want to get a copy of that. I don't know whether it'll be DVD or USB or something like that, but we're going to see how we can get that out to you. We thank you, and we will be having a second event in October. I believe it's going to be a 2-day event, October 29th and 30th. More information is coming, but I'm sure we're going to sell out real quick. So you're almost going to have to buy your ticket the day it's announced, because next time we're not going to make it Grand Chic. We're not going to make it so overpacked, because yeah, it's going to be less people that are going to be able to come to that one. But we do thank you for those of you who will be coming, and look forward to meeting you up close and personal on Friday the 27th. Doors open at 5, starts at 6. Right, Sheik?
Well, anyway, thank you for sharing with us tonight. So keep in mind the subject matter for tonight, dealing with Capitus, was necessary, because I see that as the hybrid Europeans in the de facto governing body have been attacking more of the people on all fronts, logically they will increase their pressure on the overseers that are designated among us to counter a lot of the work that's going on. So you'll see what appears to be increased divisions. Understand what that origin is, and don't get caught in fighting each other. Keep your mind on who the real enemy of humanity is. And read again, Book of John 8:44. That's who's been running the banks. That's who's been running the United States Corporation Company. And that's who's at the root of all the wars that are operating at Midgard, etc. All of them, etc. And the people who you think, who have been holding these different titles, who you think they are, they're not who you think they are. However, many thanks to you, to all We subscribe to Dr. G's new YouTube channel. Dr. G is official.
Had our first broadcast this past Tuesday.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And those of you who had the opportunity to check her out last Tuesday, that was, go check that out. That's on. That's definitely
on the run.
Yes, you got that right. So she's reached her goal of 1,000 plus subscribers needed in order to go live, and she's live now. So do it. So stay tuned for Dr. G. And so she's lining up great guests for her exciting new metaphysical and healthy lifestyle channel, because that's what that is. But when, as we come together in our more private positions, close and personal, we'll be able to talk about a lot more of these other things more direct, without Rome or Roman Curia members interrupting progress among humanity. Because remember, their whole missionary work of attacking humanity is being exposed. That's why you see all this censorship, all this poisoning of people's bloodstreams, etc., blood clots and everything in the name of helping people. Believe what you see, that they're attacking humanity. They're not helping humanity, etc. So anyway, so your continued support of the House of Reawakening Minds is greatly appreciated. And you can do so via paypal.me, and Naila Gilliam, cash.me, Reawakening, $ Reawakening. Check and money orders payable to House of Reawakening Minds can be sent to 602 Vanderbilt Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware Republic, zip exempt 19802. Have a grand evening. Thank you for sharing the evening.